The sun is beginning to rise in this beautiful African bush, and you are watching Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good morning everyone from the middle of the South African bush. My name's Hayden Turner and this is Safari Live. We are sitting on Nkuhuma Game Reserve in the wonderful Sabi Sands in South Africa. It is a magical morning. It's a bit cold again. Well, cold for us anyway, 9 degrees Celsius, about 46 Fahrenheit. And I've got the wonderful Brian Joubert on the back with me, with a special friend of his. Oh yes, the thumb is here as well to join us. And this is a special transmission for New South Wales schools in Australia for the first hour. And then we go back to normal Safari Drive. I'm crying a little bit again this morning. I'm not emotional. It's just that it is very cold and Brian and I are sniffling and crying as we drive. So we're sitting here in the middle of the African bush. And before I get started, I just want to read out the schools' names that are watching today, and we'll get that done. When you hear your school read out, give us a big shout out so we can hear it all the way from Australia here in Africa. Here we go. We have the Entrance Public School, Janali Public School, Soldiers Point Public School, Janali East Public School, Darcy Road Public School, Warrawong Public School, Weewar High School, fantastic guys, Dundaraban Public School, Mariong Public School, Tagara Public School, Kumila High School, fantastic to have another high school, Cabramurra Public School, Orange East Public School, Padstow Heights Public School, where am I? Barnia Public School, Stratford Public School, Narrowena Public School and Camaray Public School. Now that is absolutely fantastic, everyone. And if there's a public school watching that we didn't read out your name or you've just joined in, fantastic to have you with us as well. Now we've got loads of questions coming in. You can email us those questions. The teachers have all the details. If we don't get to your question, I'm really sorry about it. We get loads coming through. And what we're going to do is after we get this transmission finished, Taronga Zoo we'll send out an email to you all to find out how your school can just have a real personal experience with the Safari Live team later on down the track. So this is a Taronga Zoo, Taronga Conservation Society and WildEarth collaboration, and we got it together because we wanted to just make sure we got these really fantastic broadcasts to your school. So thank you everyone for watching. Let's get on our merry way. We have another vehicle out with wonderful Jamie Patterson, and she's out looking around as well. So let's get going. So Mr. McGregor from Soldiers Point, fantastic to have you on board. And Mr. McGregor, you want to know what time it is. It is just turned 3 minutes past 6 in the morning here, and it is just getting light. It is a great time to be out. We do have a little bit of a quiet spot now and again, particularly when it's cold like this, like we did yesterday, and it can be a little bit quiet, but don't worry, as things progress in the morning and it gets a little bit lighter and the sun comes up, we do come across things. We did hear line all over here last night, so we've just got to try and find them. That's the tricky thing. Remembering a line can be so camouflaged in this winter bush. So at the moment it's winter here in South Africa, and that is what we call the dry season. They don't get a lot of rain at this time of the year. So it does look a little bit dry, but we're going to cruise around and see what we can find. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to cross over to an incredible person, Jamie Patterson, who knows loads about the bush, and she's out looking for line as well. So let's cross to Jamie and I'll come back to you very soon.
Good morning and welcome to my favorite place in the whole wide world, the African bushveld. My name is Jamie Patterson and I have a man called Liam on camera with me. He's sitting behind the camera lens and Liam's a little bit shy, so you don't often, in fact you hardly ever get to see Liam's face, but you will see Liam's hands every now and again. and we're heading out into the magical African bush. The perfect time to be out and about on safari, because it's when all of the nocturnal creatures are still wandering about, but at the same time the cats, the big cats and the nocturnal creatures are still wandering about. And look what we have over here. Look who is hiding off in the bushes. Enormous, almost ghostly grey shapes in this early morning light. Aren't they absolutely beautiful? Now, before we start talking about the amazing thing that is the African elephant, Fabian, lovely to have you on board. You wanted to know how loud a lion's roar is. Well, out here, even with our puny human ears, and of course, Fabian, you'll know that human beings can't hear nearly so well as animals can, a lion's roar on a cold winter's morning can be heard up to 8 kilometers away from where the lion actually is. Now, I woke up to the sounds of lions roaring in the distance, and I think I know where they are, so we're going to go and try and look for them and really keep our fingers crossed that they decide to come and pay us a visit. But first, we're not going to neglect the amazing thing that is the African elephant. And look at this beautiful family that is right in front of us. A mummy elephant and her 2 youngsters. I don't know if they're both hers. I'm sure there are other elephants around. But as I said, in this grey morning light, they're almost like ghosts of the bush. And despite the fact that elephants are absolutely enormous, they can walk very, very quietly. The enormous tusks covered in dirt from digging and breaking trees. And Miss Snooks from Class 3 in Redlands Junior, lovely to have you on board, and a very good morning, although of course for you guys it's not actually morning. You'd like to know about how big an African elephant is. So it is the biggest land mammal in the world, and this female is particularly large, so they can stand up to 5, even 6 meters at the shoulder. They generally average at around 3 to 4 tons for females. The males can get even larger, with record-breaking elephants being found that weigh up to 9, 10, even up to 12 tons in some places. The largest land mammal. Now, while we're sitting with them, it's very important, and I just want to chat about this for a little bit. These are wild animals, and they can be, if you treat them badly, they can be dangerous. But it's important to remember that each and every single wild animal out here does not want to do us any harm. And because we're in their home, we treat them with utmost respect. So we sit in an open vehicle, and we're able to go, if we let the elephants come up to us, they will come right up to the vehicle. We're as much a part of their landscape as the trees and the bushes. And lovely to have you, Scarlett, from Camaray Public School. Now, you've asked a very good question, because it's not as easy as you might think. Scarlett wants to know how you tell the difference between a male and a female elephant. One of the big differences is that an adult male elephant is much, much bigger than the female, but that doesn't really help you, does it, if you're not looking at them next to each other. So one of the best ways, Scarlett, is behavior. So females are usually in their herd, and now if you look at its forehead, have a look at the angle of this female's forehead. It goes straight at the top, and then it goes down sharply towards the trunk. So it kind of makes not quite a right angle, but almost a right angle. And then have a look at her tusks. They're quite thin. They're long, but they're quite thin. Our male elephant has a rounded forehead, and they're usually they might be on their own, or they might be with a small group, but their behavior is ever so slightly different. And it's not that easy, because an elephant's testicles are actually inside its body. So an elephant's testicles are not outside its body, it's inside the body, up near the kidneys. So it's not always so easy to see if you're looking at a boy or a girl elephant. And I know this is a girl elephant because of her size, her thin tusks rather than big thick tusks, although that's not always a good way, because just like people, elephants have different genetics. So some elephants have big tusks, some have small tusks, some, a very small percentage, never even grow them. So there is such a thing as a tuskless elephant. So Miss Gallia from Class 4 in Bonnier, it's a very good question and one that we get asked often, which is how old is the elephant that we're looking at? It's difficult to tell with elephants after they have reached the stage that they are fully grown. And it's just from experience and from spending a lot of time with elephants that you can start to gauge how old they are. When they're young, they grow at a relatively set pace. So their tusks start to emerge like this little guy. I would guess at saying that he is around 3.5, 4 years old. And that you can gauge by the length that his tusks have grown. They grow on average around 15 centimeters per year, but those are worn down as well. So you can't really gauge an elephant's age by the length of their tusks, even though their tusks grow throughout their lives, because they kind of file them down by constant use. And then when they start to get slightly older, you will be able to guess at their age by their size, but it is a guess. If I had to tell you what I think this female is, I would guess at around 25. Of course, an elephant can live right up to 40, 50, even 60 years old in some cases, so almost as long as a human being. And then again, looking at the forehead, it's a very telltale sign in an elephant. The gap around at the top of the eyes starts to get more and more indented as they get older. Just like people, they lose their skin elasticity, so their bones become more prominent. Lovely question from Tyler in Pesto. Hi, it is lovely to have you on board. I hope you are enjoying these elephants. I have to tell you something. These are my favorite animal to spend long periods of time with. They're just such fascinating and amazing creatures. Now, Tyler, how long is an elephant's trunk? Well, the amazing thing is that they stretch. So sometimes they're short, sometimes they're long, but they can change the length of their trunk, which is one of the things that's so incredible about the twisting, turning of an elephant's trunk. So it can be anywhere from about 1.5 meters up to 2.5 meters, depending upon the size of an elephant and how far its trunk is stretched out. A beautiful girl, and I think it is a morning that's going to be filled with these incredible pachyderms, because it sounds as though the wonderful Hayden Turner has also found some of them to show you.
Well, how beautiful. This is elephant-tastic this morning, everyone. We've got this beautiful little baby just walking over to his mum there. He's just given us a little look. Look at this. Isn't this magic? We've got a question from Emily in the Entrance Public School, and that's fantastic to have you on board, guys. This is really, really great to be able to answer your questions. Isn't this little one just beautiful? How much, your question is, Emily, how much does an elephant eat in a day? Look at him. About 150 kilograms of food they have to eat. And you can hear the crunching and the breaking of branches as we're speaking right now. And this is one of the bigger females behind us, but this little baby is just too cute as well, hey? But look at this one here. She's breaking down the branches to get the more tender shoots off the top and some of the bark and the things that she really likes to eat. And they're very relaxed. Very relaxed. It is such a beautiful experience, everyone, to be here in the presence of elephants. And Emily, that food that she's eating now she's breaking a lot of branches down because there's not a lot of grass on the ground and not a lot of shrub vegetation at the moment. So she's going for the leaves at the tops of the trees and some bark and the more tender things. And she just moves through the bush and eats exactly what she wants to eat. Thank you so much for watching, Emily, and your class and your school. Great to have you with us. Brandon, that's a really good question, Brandon, from Orange East Public School. I just I did get that school right, didn't I, just then? Just confirm, I just want to make sure I got the school name right. Yep. I do apologise about that, Brandon. I just wanted to make sure it was Orange East Public School. Fantastic to have you on board with us, everyone, and thank you for watching. Why are elephants so big, Brandon? Well, you know what? All animals find a special spot in the habitat or in the ecosystem, and elephants just evolved to be a really, really successful big mammal, and they've carved out a special spot in the ecosystem. And as time went on, millions of years, they got bigger and bigger and got to the point now where they are. But the interesting thing is, Brandon, they don't have a very, very efficient digestive system, okay, which means that they have to eat loads and loads of food to supply energy to that big body of theirs. So this is why they have to eat about 150 kilograms a day of food, and they do all different things. You can see she's just she wants that little twig there, she wants to pull it up, so she's using her foot to pull it up. Really great. Lacey from Orange East Public School again, fantastic to have you on board with us. It's really great to have you listening. And Lacey, your question, how old does an elephant have to be when it leaves its mum? Well, Lacey, they stay with the family herd for most of their life. If they're a female, it'll be the herd will be a group. There's my head in the way, I do apologise. There's a little baby following its mum there. What they will do is stay, it's just like a human family in a way, Lacey. The mother, or this matriarch here, this older one, she will be in charge of the herd, and as they grow up they will fit in with the family herd. Excuse me. And when the boys get a little bit older, sort of 4 to 7 years of age, they start to get a little bit more bold and start to wrestle with each other and have a little bit of a tussle with each other. And as they get older, they start to either get pushed out of the herd, but the females will stay with the herd, and then they build a family group. So the family group, or the breeding herd, is made up of a matriarch, which is normally the oldest, most experienced female, related mothers to her, and then other related animals and their offspring. So they normally stay together. Sometimes they'll break off. Got a question from Mitchell in Bonnier Public School. Really great to have you with us, Mitchell. Thank you very much for sending your question in. How many are normally in a herd? Well, between 9 to sort of 15 animals is quite common. This is a smaller, it could be a fragment of the herd. It could be just like a smaller portion of the herd, and there might be more elephants further down from us that we can't see. Even though they're really big mammals, Mitchell, sometimes they can blend into the vegetation and the landscape really easily, and we miss them. And you can just see that the mother, that big female, has disappeared, but we've got 2 individuals with us still. And there's about 9 to 15 in a normal herd, and then sometimes those other herds join up, and what they call a bond herd, which might be 2 herds that are related, and then they'll join up, and it might be 30 animals. I was just in a country on the other side of southern Africa called Namibia, and I saw 100 animals together. So that was probably several herds together. But these guys are so relaxed. They're only about probably 5 meters away from us at the moment, and they're so beautiful to be around. But the matriarch has said, we're moving on. She has just given them the signal, and it's not a signal we can hear, but she's told them to move on. I just just need to get that question again. I do apologise. I got Jensen from Camaret Public School, but the question I missed. I do apologise. How fast or far can elephants travel, and how long do they need to rest for? Well, we walk at about 4 to 4.5 kilometres an hour if we're walking as a human being. Elephants walk at about 6 kilometres per hour when they're motoring through the bush, and they can travel very, very good distances quickly. So 4 to 6 kilometres an hour, probably about 6 kilometres an hour, and they rest for about 4 to 5 hours a day, depending on how much food that they've had and how far they have to travel, Jensen. So it really does depend on where they are and where the water is and lots of different things. But they walk at about 6 kilometres per hour. So what we're going to do is move on. We might come across these animals again. I think it'll be really nice to. We're going to just have a little bit of a look around and see what we can find. We're going to link over to Jamie and see what she's up to. We'll be right back.
Can you see it? Good morning, everyone, and welcome on our little bushwalk. I shouldn't be talking that loudly. There are some impala over there, our most common antelope, just there. My name is James. My friend Jandre is on camera and walking, tracking, and being on security detail. Another good friend of ours called Stefan. There's also a wildebeest there. Jandre, can you see the wildebeest? Wildebeest, many of you will know from documentaries. They are the ones that run in those huge numbers across the East African plains in something known as the Great Migration. Over here, well, there are not so many of them, only about 100 or so. Let's see if we can get another view. Come. Hello, Cooper. You want to know how we get so close to the animals? Cooper, we're not actually very close. We're probably about 70 meters from those impala and wildebeest. They are very scared of us, and they know we are here, but we're within what we call the flight distance. Now that means that if we go to within the flight distance or outside the flight distance, the animals are going to run away. So there's a distance beyond which they know that they're much faster than us and they won't run away. But if we go too close, then they will run away from us. And of course, if you get too close to an animal and you corner it, well, then it can be potentially what we call dangerous. But these ones are not dangerous now. There we go. Now, if we look over there, we can see that impala. She's just looking at us. And now she's moving off. And they're all now starting to run off to the left of us there. Isn't that nice? It's a beautiful morning. Hello, Luca. You live, or you don't live, I'm sure you're working at with the entrance school. You're at school there, and you want to know how fast an impala can run. Well, an impala can probably run at about 60 kilometers per hour. Now, that's pretty quick. Do you know how fast somebody who runs the 100 meters can run if they're running it in 10 seconds? Just have a think about that. Usain Bolt, who we know is about to take part in the 100 meters at the Olympics, if he runs the 100 meters in 10 seconds, he's only running at 36 kilometers per hour. So these animals can run almost double the speed of Usain Bolt. So just think about that. Most of us can't run the 100 meters in 10 seconds. I certainly can't. And so just about all of the animals out here are much, much faster than us. Now, one of the things that you have to try and see one day in your life is what we're about to show you now. If you look over there to the eastern horizon, you can see a very special thing starting to happen. That is the African sun coming up over this ancient, ancient landscape. And it's
Okay, so we've just left those elephants because they're moving down into country that's a little bit thick for us to go into, so we might catch up with them later. We're driving up onto a place now called Impala Plains, and it's a lovely open area. Sometimes we see animals up there just getting the last sort of bits of grass in the winter. Just getting a So we've got a question from Darcy Road Public School, and I was just listening. I've got an earpiece in Darcy Road, and class 5 and 6, you're asking a great question, but as I hold my hand up to my ear, I'm just pushing my earpiece back in to get the question from our final control room. So your question is, what is the Great Migration? Now the Great Migration is an incredible wildlife spectacular that happens not in South Africa where we are now, but up in Tanzania and Kenya in East Africa. And what it is an incredible migration of two particular species, wildebeest and zebra. And those wildebeest and zebra start to follow the rains around the Masai Mara and Serengeti national parks in East Africa. And maybe you and your teachers, class 5 and 6, could actually have a little bit of a look at that. And it goes around with the rains, and these animals, millions and millions and millions of wildebeest and zebra, follow the rains around, and which means that they're following the grass and the growth through those incredible plains in East Africa. And they have their babies at a certain time of the year, and it's all following the good food supply from those rains in East Africa. But great question, Darcy Road, and thank you for watching. We've got a great question from Zoe in Janali Public School. Thanks for being with us, Zoe, and all your school friends there. Your question is, do we feel safe out here? Absolutely. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't feel safe. We do have to know a little bit about what animals do, and we have to be very careful around elephants, animals like elephants, and we have to respect them, but we also have to keep ourselves safe. Brian and I on the vehicle here, we don't want to be in danger, we don't want to, it's not the right thing to do, and it's not the right thing to do for our safety or the animals' safety. So we feel safe, we learn about the animals, and we make sure that we stay just the right distance from them. And those elephants move close to us because they feel comfortable. They're comfortable with the vehicle, they're used to it, they know we're not a threat to them, and they make sure that if they want to move close to us, they do. If they don't, they go the other direction. But great question, thank you so much for watching, Janali, and great question, Zoe, thank you. It's keeping our eyes open here. Oh my goodness. Now I've got to stop quickly, and I'm going to cross over to something very special for you. Jamie Patterson. Wow, wow, wow. What a wonderful, wonderful person. And she has got something incredible to show you. I'll see you guys just now.
Look at this incredible surprise that we have found waiting for us. I said I thought I knew where the lions were, and it turns out that we were absolutely right. And look what they've got with them. 3 absolutely adorable little lion cubs. Hello, are you playing? Look at them learning to hunt. Aren't they gorgeous, practicing the skills that they will need when they get a little bit older? Now, the wonderful thing is because I know this pride of lions, and I know the lions of the Sabi Sand, we can actually go and get a little bit closer. So let's try and sneak up on our amazing lion family. We are right on the northern boundary of our traverse area, close to a road called Nkuhuma Road, which means that there's a dam, a waterhole, that is just up to the north of them. Hello little guys, I don't want to scare the cubs, so we're going to go nice and slowly. Hi, good morning. Oh, there's more cubs. There's cubs everywhere, all playing with each other. This is incredible. Our lion cubs are just some of the cutest creatures that you can see out here. Look at them running down the road. Isn't this incredible? Ah, magic. I'm just going to stop here for one moment. Bear with me for 2 seconds. I need to be on the Game Drive channel, but it's going to be very short. Morning, Flamingala with my pimpans on Buffelshoek Cut Line Junction and Wubble Road. Static for now. It's just myself here. Look at you! Look at that one stalking each other, playing. Dashing around, nipping at each other. Too special for words. We are so lucky to be sharing this moment. I would like to introduce you to a pride of lions called the Nkuhumas and their brand new cubs. They've actually got 8 of them as far as I know. There's 5 adult lionesses and 8 tiny little ones. At the moment I can only see 4 of them. Look at this, this is incredible. Watch them watching the cubs, keeping an eye on them, making sure that they're okay. Welcome to Matthew from Kumiela High School. Aren't these lion cubs just amazing? Matthew wants to know how long they will stay with the lion pride. The answer is it depends, Matthew, on whether it's a male or a female. So the females will probably... Oopsie! This is incredible. The females will probably stay with the pride for their entire lives, because that's what a lion pride is. A lion pride is made up of females and their babies. The adult lions will, when they become, if they are a male, when they're about 3 years old, it will be time for them to leave their pride and start to head out on their own. If they have brothers or cousins that are also boys, then they will go together. Look at these gorgeous creatures. Oh, pile of cubs. And the lioness is joining in the game. She's not the mother. She is a lioness without any cubs, but she's coming to play with them. And that's how wonderful a lion pride is. The bonds between them are so incredibly tightly reinforced. Look at her. That's Amber Eyes. She's my favorite lioness. And she is so, so good with these cubs. Where are you going? No, no, no. Aubrey. Sorry, everybody. I'll get to your questions in 1 second. Flamingala and Mapimpans, Buffelshoek Cut Line, Wubble Road Junction. It's just myself here. Don't know if you copied. Dylan, it is so lovely to have you now. Of course, our little lion cubs here are only a few months old, but you want to know when an adult, or when a lion is considered to be an adult. And the answer is when they are ready to reproduce. So when they're ready, what's that over there? On the top, is that another lion coming to join us, or is it, look at the male. How awesome is this? Copy, make your way up, putting you in charge of the lineup if you don't mind. There's also Mandoro Ngala now approaching. It's a 2-vehicle lock. Look at that! Lions approaching from the east. The 2 big male lions, they are the ones in charge of this pride. They are dominant over this pride. They're called the Birmingham Boys, and the Nkuhuma ladies have recognized their call and starting to head in that direction. Let's go catch up. What a magical start to a very special morning. Look at its little head. I'm sorry, I get really pathetically squealy when I see lion cubs. And class 4 from Bonilla Public School. Very, very good question. Obviously we've got our females in front, and then we've got the male lions approaching from the top of the hill, and you can see very clearly the difference. Male lions have manes because they spend a lot of time fighting other male lions, and they fight for the right to make little cubs like this. And the mane protects the most vulnerable part of their faces, whether it is their neck or the head, or the back of the head where the spine is. Look at this. This is absolute. What are you doing? Are you climbing a tree? You're not a leopard. Lions can climb trees, but they're not very good at it, as you can see. Now, these little lion cubs are very lucky that those male lions are their fathers, because the biggest threat to lions, apart from human beings, because of course we are responsible for the most killing of lions, not us obviously, but human beings. Aries, the biggest threat to lions is other lions, because a male lion, when he takes over a territory, he will kill the cubs that are not his own in order to be able to produce his own babies, his own offspring. Now that might sound really cruel, but that's just their natural instinct. That is what male lions do, because they've only got a very, very short period of time where they know that they will be dominant in an area. And so they try and have cubs as quickly as possible. Luckily for these little guys, those male lions are definitely, if not their fathers, then related to their fathers in some way. They're part of the males that are dominant. They've been mating with these females. So these cubs know those males. Now, because of the way that males behave, they actually have slightly shorter lifespans than the females. So Sophie, a female lion, can live up to even 16 years old, although it's usually around 13, 14 out here. A male lion has a much shorter lifespan, which averages around 11 years, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, because most of the time a male lion is killed by other male lions. This is absolutely incredible. We're going to get a closer look, and while we do, let's go over to James, who is on foot in this magical place.
We've been trying to find a giraffe, everybody. What an unbelievable morning to see little lion cubs in the sunrise. It's a perfect way to begin your day. Now, I believe there was a question about some marula trees. Well, this is a marula tree here. There we go. Now, the big legend behind the marula tree, everybody, is that if you happen to be a prospective parent, so you know your parents either wanted a boy or a girl, and sometimes they didn't really mind, but marula trees come as male or female trees. And it's amazing, because if you want to be a parent and you want to be the parent of a boy, you go and you take some bark from the male tree, and you take the male tree bark and you soak it in water, and then you give it to your wife and she will bear you a son. And you do the same thing if you want a female. You take the female tree's bark and you soak it in water and you give it to your wife, and hopefully she will have a daughter. Whether this works or not, the older ones of you will know there's probably about a 50% chance of it working. Now, Sienna from the entrance school, you want to know how old a marula tree can be. You know, these things don't live that long. And it's because they are quite soft. They're quite soft trees, and so what happens is the elephants come and they dig out here. If you look over here, you see how the elephants have eaten out this bit of bark here? And what that does is expose the wood to wood-boring insects and various other things that will get in there and then rot the wood, and then the tree will eventually fall over because elephants will push it, or because the wind will blow it over. So although this tree is probably, I would say this tree is probably about maybe 60 years old or so, 50 or 60, maybe 70 years old, it could potentially live here probably for about 150 years. I don't think it will though, because I think you're going to find that the wood inside the tree is going to rot, and eventually a strong wind is going to push it over, like, if you look over there. You see that big tree over there? That's a big marula tree. probably also between sort of 70 and 100 years old, that was pushed over by the wind. Beautiful trees they are. Now, Mrs. Parsons' class from Dunderudden School. We think that's right, everybody. It's quite difficult to hear what's going on here. You want to know how I tell the difference between a male and a female tree? It's not very easy when you just look at the tree. The simplest way to do it is look on the ground underneath it. So, if we look under here, Parkin, not Parson, we look under here, and what we find is a pip. And then we find another pip, and indeed another pip. Many pips. And so we know that this is a female tree. We know that the females are the only ones that produce the fruit. The males produce a flower that produces pollen. The pollen then blows in the wind over to the flowers of the female trees, and the female trees then make the fruits. And the fruits are delicious. They're golden yellow when they're ripe, and they taste very sweet. It's a unique taste though. Unless you've eaten marula, you can't really describe what it tastes like. And then the seed comes out and looks like a little alien. And inside it, there are a whole lot of delicious nuts. They taste a bit like walnuts. And underneath the male trees, so if we go over here, I think you'll find that there are no pips at all. Correct. No pips at all. And so this is probably a male tree. Okay, let's go back to the lions in the rising sun.
The male has just caught up with the rest of the pride. It is a really, really tricky spot here. So we're going to try and get you a view without scaring the little ones, which we definitely don't want to do. But he is one of the dominant males. So let's just stop here for a moment. There you can see the lionesses all going up to say hello to him. Isn't this absolutely beautiful? The big male lion, he knows that he could be the father of these babies. And the lioness is all gathering around him to say hello. And also to make sure that he behaves himself around the cubs. Look at that. Bonding, head rubbing. Such amazing lion behavior to be able to show you. All sniffing to see what he's up to, what he's been doing while he's been gone. Let's go a little bit closer. So it's tricky here, as you can see we're in the middle of the bush, so we've got to make sure we don't scare the animals. But unfortunately we might lose them if they go further in here, so stay with me for now while we reposition. There they are. Look at the cubs playing. Absolutely awesome. There's another male that's coming up behind us. I don't know if the females have realized that yet, but he is going to walk up beside us in a moment. The females are up and moving. There's the male, following behind, wanting to catch up. Isn't he magnificent? His golden mane. Now at the moment you can't hear it, but the little cubs are making such amazing sounds. Ow! Ow! And Andy from Camera Mower, I'm going to speak nice and softly because this big male is walking right behind the car. See how he's not bothered by us at all. Andy, no, male lions will not try to steal lionesses. I'll explain to you how it works in a moment. Just keeping an eye on what he's up to since he's right next to us. And his head comes up to the level of my door. Andy, male lions try to steal territory from other male lions. That's what they want. They want a patch of land. And they try to steal a patch of land that has lots of different groups of females on it. Because once they get the land, then they get the females. Look at him rubbing his head on the branch. He is absolutely magnificent. Scraping his hind feet, and this goes to Andy's question. What he's doing here is he is marking his territory, and I'm a little bit scared he's going to do the second part of marking his territory, which is to spray urine. Oh, phew! It wouldn't be the first time I've been peed on by a lion, but it's definitely not a pleasant thing to happen. The male lion. That's interesting. They're going in separate direction to the other females. He's also marking his territory. And Cinnamon has asked a very interesting question, which is whether lions would eat each other to survive. And the answer is very, very seldom does that happen. So lions have been known to eat other lions, but it's quite rare, and it's usually when something has gone wrong in some way. If it's a male that's killed another male, or a male that's killed a female or cubs, then sometimes they eat, but it's not common. They're now running to catch up with the females. We're going to try and stay with them, but it's going to get really tricky now. Ooh. I think we're going to really struggle here. Hello, Sienna, from the Entrance Public School. Lions are pretty much born with the same color, so it's that brownish color. We call it tawny, and the reason that they are born that way and they stay that way is because it's really good camouflage. It helps to hide them away in the brown grass of Africa. However, Sienna, there are lions called white lions. White lions are leucistic lions, and they're very, very rare. You don't get many of them, but you could see one of them out here. Okay, we're going to have to try and get through some thick vegetation here, and we don't have any view of the lions, so for now I'm going to send you back over to Hayden and his elephants. What an exciting morning.
What a fantastic morning, Jamie. Absolutely. How fantastic is that? We found lions. I mean, this is so exciting to be able to bring this to you live from the African bush. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And we've just found our elephants again. How incredible it is to be so close to these beautiful beasts. And they're feeding away so relaxed here, having such a lovely, lovely meal this morning on all this different vegetation. This is a big female with her calf. Isn't this beautiful to watch? I'm just getting a question through. Okay, quick link over to Jamie. Something's exciting happening.
Listen to that. Isn't that incredible? It's roaring. They've just had a little bit of a scuffle. The males got too close to the cubs, I think. You can hear the cubs fiercely protective of their babies. We're going to reposition quickly. The females showing the males who's boss. They're protecting their cubs. two females have taken the cubs away. And the other three are keeping the males distracted. Hold on. Incredible scenes playing out in front of us. Now I don't want you guys to be scared, okay? So this is relatively normal behavior from the lions, but it is incredible to see. The males came in, everybody got a little bit too frightened, a little bit aggressive because the cubs are here. The females want to protect them. There's dust flying everywhere. And now the females are running, being chased by the males. Now the males are fighting each other. There might be a female that's ready to mate. Hold on. And lots of roaring. I wonder if there's not another male that's come in. We're not sure what's happening right now. I think it's just an internal fight between some of the males. I've just got to be very careful. The cubs have been moved away. Okay, guys. Lioness is trying to get away and back to the rest of the females and their cubs. I think there's a female that's coming into estrus, and that's part of the reason why they come into blows like this. See how protective the male's being over that one female. Even though they are brothers, sometimes they still fight. Lioness is trying to keep them away from the cubs. I can still hear the cubs. They're further away from where we are. And Janelli, yes, the baby lions are trying to roar. Actually what they're doing, because their instinct tells them to try and imitate the adult, they are roaring, but they have been moved further away, and they're also calling. They're scared of what's happening because there's just chaos. There's lions running everywhere. Their mothers have managed to take them away safely, and the rest of the pride are distracting the males, keeping them away from the cubs. But they're also calling, so they're making a sound that goes cow. There they are, listen. Okay. Everything's calming down now. Can you hear the cubs? Ow. You got one. There they are. See? But confused. It's okay, little ones. It's okay. There's Mom. There's Mom. Protecting you all. See how she's shepherding them away. Ariana, Am I scared? No, not for myself. The lions are busy with each other. But I was a little bit scared at times for the lions because I've seen they'll be fine. I know that this is between family members and between fathers, but I always get a little bit scared that perhaps maybe a cub will get in the way. But these moms are so experienced that they've been able to move them to safety. See how she's standing over them, protecting them from what's going on. There, now she's licking them, comforting them, making sure they know everything's okay. And lions fight, that's what they do. They're big wild animals, but they hardly ever hurt each other when they're part of the same family. And Shiloh, no, they don't fight every day. We don't often get to see this. But when lions, as I said, are wild animals. So what happens is when they kill something and they want to eat, they often fight over food. It's every lion for himself. And then sometimes what happens now is we've got some cubs, some mothers with cubs, but there's 2 females in this group that don't have babies, and they are now ready to mate, to make more babies. And what's happening is the male lions are fighting over access to those females. So this is not something we get to see every day. It's an incredible example of wild lion behavior. And yes, it gets your heart racing. This is what makes these animals so incredible. We're going to reposition, but I'm going to give the cubs a little bit of distance to make sure they feel okay. But while we do that, let's go back to Hayden and his elephants.
What an exciting morning, everyone. How incredible is this? And you just can't predict what happens in the bush. Some mornings it'll be really quiet and other mornings it'll be like this morning. Incredible stuff with those lions. I'm so excited that you could see that. We're still with this beautiful elephant herd. This is a mother and her calf, and they've been just feeding away whilst we've been with them, whilst all that action's been happening on the other side of the reserve. So beautiful to see, just incredible stuff. So this female here, she would probably be about 3,500, maybe 3,000 kilograms. That's about the size of 3 medium-sized cars, everyone. So it's a big, big animal. And her offspring there, or her baby, or her calf, who is now probably about 3 years of age, maybe 2 or 3 years, 3 years of age, I'd say, is probably only about a third or a quarter of her size. Even that, even a quarter. So they get up to probably about 6,000 kilograms of big bull, and that's about 6 medium-sized cars. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say farewell to you now. We've only got a few minutes to go, I think 2 minutes to go. So I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for watching. It's all happening here on Safari Live, and when I get back to Australia, we're going to send out emails to all the schools and let you know how you can have a more personal experience. We tried to answer as many questions as we possibly could, but we had so many. So what we can organise is one school can have the hour drive, and we'll get back to you on that. We'll send you an email when I get back to Australia, okay? So there's a lot of people I'd like to thank very, very quickly, and particularly the Taronga Zoo Education Department, Paul Maguire, Nikki Bedell, Rod Cheel, and everyone else that supported us through this little collaboration with WildEarth, Graham Wallington, and all the team here on Safari Live. It's an incredible experience to be able to give you this wonderful, unforgettable time in Africa every morning when we're here. So we're going to try and continue this, and hopefully you can have a look at the African bush. But remember, all the animals and the habitats around where you live is just as important as it is in here in Africa, anywhere in the world. And if you want to work with wildlife, you've got to follow your dream. I did it, Brian did it, all these team have done it, and anyone can do it. You can do anything you want, and particularly this guy here, Mr. Thumb, at the bottom of the screen says you can do it. Anyone can do it, and you can follow your dream and work with wildlife in any way, shape or form. You want to be a camera person, a technical person, or a presenter or a guide, whatever you want to do. Wildlife is all about looking after the planet, and you sitting there watching now, you're the next generation of people that are going to take care of this planet, okay? So you've got to make sure you follow your dreams, and if anyone is out there who wants to know more information, you can contact us at Taronga Zoo at the Education Department, and there's loads of different programs that you can do. But one thing I'd also like you to do is to try and follow on, talk to your teachers, and try and do a project after this on anything you've seen. It might be on elephants, it might be on lions, it might be on Africa, but just make sure you follow your dream and really look after this planet, kids, because it's what it's all about. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to you and cross over to the wonderful Jamie Patterson, and thank you also to James Hendry on the walk. We will see you next time from Africa all the way to Australia at the schools in New South Wales and Taronga Zoo Conservation Society. Thank you so much. Let's go and see what Jamie's got to finish with those lions.
What an incredible scene we have been witness to. Some seriously dramatic stuff happening first thing in the morning. I just have to reposition, I'm sorry. We've got another vehicle that wants to come past us. Okay, so we're just going to let him come through. Bear with me one moment. How absolutely incredible was that? So what I've done is I'm actually giving the cubs some space. So I've let them move off. There is another vehicle with them, so we've just split it into two different sightings. I'm giving the cubs time to get away from the drama that just played out. Amber Eyes is distracted at the moment. So a big farewell to our schools. If they are still watching, I hope you had an amazing time all the way in Australia. And for our regular viewers, how absolutely astounding were those scenes. How was that noise, William? It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And there was a moment where I got, you know, when you know that everything's going to be fine, because this is what happens with lions, and males and females come to blows regularly, especially when there's females in estrus. And males come to blows, and I know that these lions will not do any damage to their own cubs, but sometimes things go wrong in the lion world. Sometimes that aggression just takes hold and it gets out of control. And there were a few moments there where I was a little bit concerned for all the parties involved, particularly the cubs, because you could hear them ow, 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 contact calling to each other constantly. It was quite heartbreaking because you could just imagine how terrified these poor little things were. You can still hear them. Shame, little ones. Imagine what that must be like for them. Dust flying. Anna Marie says her heart rate is only just slowing down now. Mine too, and I imagine Amber Eyes as well. She did an amazing job. You know, to watch the way that these females work, to see them banding together like that against the males is perhaps the wrong word, but she immediately went into intercept mode the minute the male lion actually arrived on the scene. And then when they were outnumbered, I don't know what triggered that fight. My suspicion would have been, I'm just going to reposition, just go forward ever so slightly, I'm not going to go far. My suspicion is that the males started fighting over one of the females, whether it's Amber Eyes or the young female, or perhaps even one of the lactating females. And I think that might have been what triggered it. And the lionesses stepped up their aggression to match that of the males because there are cubs here. That would be my interpretation of what went on. Everything seems to have calmed down. This male has somehow, he's proved to be victorious for now, but another male is contact calling to him. And Amber Eyes, all she wants to do is go back to the rest of her pride, but he's blocking her. I wonder how they feel after a moment like this. I mean, he's got blood on his nose. Their adrenaline's sky high initially. I wonder if the females feel fear for the cubs in situations like this. Because sometimes lions do. Just that wrong instinct is triggered. Here comes the second male. Mobile Paddy believes that the fight was started by who has the best cheesecake. Well, that certainly would be fitting in Nkuhuma, Mobile Paddy, because of course there is a great debate. Ooh. Let's just watch the way this plays out. This male, let's just see if he decides. No, he's not. Oh. Ah, the male growling, acting very protective. Oh, that was a clear message. Go away. Came through very, very clearly here. At some point we're going to have to leave the sighting because there are other vehicles wanting to get involved. So I'm going to be chatting on the Game Drive channel for a bit. Let's head over to James while I do that.
Little baked beans you eat. We found frame. From the sublime to the ridiculous, everybody. You won't believe what I'm holding here on this stick. We didn't do this for the school drive. So for our younger viewers, well, you need to not pick something like this up in the bush. Quite remarkable piece of scat, everybody, which is roughly, if you were to stretch it, it's broken off at one end. It's probably about a foot long.
Started it because she was... Okay, we are still with our lions, and I'm just thinking about the way that Amber Eyes went and immediately intercepted one of the males. And she was quite flirty when she first went up to him, almost kittish. There's something that the lionesses know how to do with the males. Oh, that was incredible. I haven't had a chance to chat on the Game Drive channel, obviously, because Bushwalk disappeared, and we're sorry, as you can imagine. Live bushwalks from the middle of the African bush, sometimes things go a little bit wrong, so bear with me one moment. Stations with the rest of the Ngala, are those Mapimpan still there? Okay, copy. I'm going to be pulling out of the sighting, but I'll make my way back in once the other vehicles have had a chance to view them. Okay, guys, so... Okay, copy. Ephraim, are you making your way to the sighting? We might not have to leave. Okay, copy, thanks. I'm going to make my way in. Okay, let's go see how the cubs are doing. Never mind, here's Mike on the Game Drive con. Sorry, bear with me one moment. Standing by. Oh, Mike, I think it's just fighting over one of the Mufuzzies. Yeah, the Mufuzzies just got aggressive because the Muffimpons are here. Okay, while we reposition to get to the cubs and to see how they're doing now that they've had a chance to relax, let's go back over to, I think, Hayden. I can't actually hear with the Game Drive comms happening at the same time. But we're going across to somebody for an update somewhere.
Wow, how incredible was that, hey? What an amazing first hour of the morning, and thank you so much everyone that's watching. That was a special schools edition for the first hour to about 40 schools in a state of New South Wales in Australia. There was just under 1,000 children watching, which was absolutely brilliant, and what an action-packed morning that was. We had a beautiful, gentle herd of elephants with us, and Jamie had that incredible interaction with those lions. Plus James out on bushwalk is always another beautiful facet to what Safari Live is all about. But welcome back to the normal drive. And we've left those elephants. They just started to move into areas that they were feeding nicely. They're probably going to be making their way down to one of the water points there, and we'll go back and have a bit of a look at them very, very shortly. But what an incredible thing to be able to deliver that to always to everyone that watches, but particularly this morning for kids, you know, to get that inspiration to children to, you know, have some interest in the natural world. And if we can flick that love nature switch in kids, absolutely just one of the most special things in my world is to pass it on to generations that are going to be taking care of this planet and all these beautiful habitats that we work in. So yeah, it's very close to my heart, folks, and I do bang on about it a fair bit, but it is really, really important stuff that we do pass on this message, and we inspire young people to do anything in the natural world, or just have another awareness of it, or a better awareness of it, why it's important historically, culturally, economically, loads of different things. But it's a great, great thing, and thank you very much for being with us this morning. So I'm going to just tootle on down here and have a bit of a look around. It's getting a little bit warmer. I wouldn't say too much warmer, would you, Brian? Brian's just put a blanket over his legs, so it is really chilly. But we're going to cross over to James, and he's got something really interesting to show you. We'll see you back just now.
Now, while we look at that magpie shrike, everyone, I must just apologize. We had a little bit of a delay with the feed last time. So as we came live, I was talking to Gendre about the fact that he has a propensity to eat baked beans, which of course we all know the effect that that has on the bowels. So I must apologize for that. We didn't realize that we were going to be live during that particular section. Tingana's a very large scat we've left alone where it was there. Very embarrassed indeed, and do apologize and hope that nobody was too offended, or certainly not as offended as I am, by Gendre's foul and offensive bowels. Now, let us look again at the magpie shrike over there. And I know you can't really hear them. Don't have an ambient mic on the bushwalk, but they're making a lovely call. So I'm just going to be quiet for a second. Isn't that lovely? You can just hear them. There's a flock of about 6 or 7 of them going. Loving the morning sun that they've got on their backs, and just off to the left of them, a crested barbet going. Right, come, Gendre. Let's keep upwind of you, and let's walk up through the bush. No, I want to keep upwind of you. Oh, Justin, thank you for your question. You want to know if I'm still recovering from the enormous finger. There it is, Justin. Look at the immense swelling. Can you see that? Discoloration of the skin. It really was a very troublesome time for me. Thank you, Justin, for caring about the immense injury that I received yesterday. That's very kind to have noticed. Right, we're going to walk through here now and see what we can find. We were going pretty much into the area where the lions are, but now that there are lions there, we're not going to do that anymore. We're rather hoping to go into the system. Hang on 1 second. I thought for a second that this grass... Steph? It hasn't, has it? No. This is actually growing here, everyone. This is yellow thatch. Wow. Come and have a look here, Gendre. This is yellow thatching grass. Hyperrhenia dissoluta. Which is a not particularly good name, but it's not bad. And it's obviously been flattened by the elephants coming through here, and it grows in a stand in what is clearly a seep line, and we know that from the fact that there are still the cluster leaf trees here. But if you were a local person living around here many years ago, and indeed even now, house, then this kind of grass was what you used to thatch your house. And it grows into this long straw during the winter time around here. And
do apologise for losing that signal. It sometimes happens in those little spots. Little gremlins get to us, but I'm sure you understand we're broadcasting live, and particularly on the bushwalk. That's an incredible feat to think that there's a signal coming from a walking safari. So apologies about that, but I know you all understand. We're just coming down through a little drainage line here that sometimes we see leopard. We did hear about some leopard tracks, but they went well onto another property that we don't traverse, so we're not going to go and follow those up. We just wanted to come down and have a little look through here. It is a little bit quiet down through here this morning, but it's all good. We've had beautiful elephant, and we're going to go back to them. And we've also had beautiful lion interaction this morning. But if you've got any questions, please I'm sorry folks, my earpiece has just come out. I'm just going to ask for that question again. Sorry control, can I just have that question again? I've got some water buck just there, mate. Just got a question from Magical. Thanks for being with us this morning, Magical. And yes, it is my last day today. I just came for a short stint to do those school drives. Magical, I'll come to you right now. Just whilst we're watching this, I'm just going to reposition so I can try and get a little shot for Brian here. You can just see the tail end of this little water buck calf. It's only probably a yearling, just peering at us through there. Woolly bucks I used to call them, because they're really shaggy. They're much different to, their coat is very, very different from a lot of the other antelope. This is a little female, I think. I can't see any. Yeah. And waterbuck are beautiful antelope, that really distinctive ring on the rump there. And I've seen a lot more waterbuck here than I have in the past. They don't necessarily run or sit in water. They just like to be around water, and there's a couple of different theories. One is that they actually do like to escape to water if they get a predator comes towards them, but there isn't a lot of water around at the moment. It is that the jury's out on why they're really called waterbuck, but they are a beautiful antelope, and the males have a very, very impressive set of horns. We'll see if we can find one this morning. Magical, back to your question. Yes, it is my my last day today. I was going to try and squeeze another drive in tomorrow, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. We'll see what happens. This afternoon might be my last drive, and sorry, just saw some tracks here. I do declare we might have a leopard track here. Let's just go down here a little bit further and see if we can pick them up again. Okay, we're going to go. Oh no, it's hyena. I do apologise. Just let me see if I can show you this track. And you can tell that it's hyena. Brian, maybe, oh, it's really tricky for Brian, folks. I can't really get it to you, mate. Well, I suppose what I wanted to show you was that the track, I thought it was leopard. It was in a bit of really soft sand, and I couldn't really tell. But the reason why I can tell now, and I just want to get my app open to show you the track, is because it has something very distinctive. And please bear with me. I just got to look it up. So I've got this little app here that allows me just to bring up. They're not very. They're just really basic tracks to show you, but it does at least allow us to show you what the track looks like. And I saw a track just down there, but I couldn't see those toenails. And this is a very distinctive feature of the hyena track just here. These toenail marks, and if it was a leopard you wouldn't see those. And I just sort of had a glance at it, and then I've got a track right next to me that I can't actually show you on camera, but it's got these very distinctive toe marks, so we know it's hyena. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. It's a great little app just to share with you. Right, I think we're going to cross back now to Jamie. Is that correct, Bex? Okay, folks, we're just going to toodle on down here, and we're going to cross back to Jamie, and I'll come back to you as soon as we find something. All right, we'll see you just now.
Now we are back with our 4 lovely Nkuhuma ladies, and I've counted 4 cubs. There's no reason to panic just yet. I'm pretty sure that the other one is somewhere around here. Perhaps just lying down. It might be the one with the slight limp. I'm relatively certain that there we go, number 5. Awesome. All 5 Nkuhuma cubs alive and well despite the drama of the morning. And I've been trying to, because of course when we're doing a school drive it's very, very difficult. You don't want to panic anybody. But I've been trying to replay through that sighting in my head. And I have to tell you, I think that the Nkuhumas did an amazing job of dealing with that situation. But I think it was probably sparked by males fighting over females, but the females immediately stepped in and played, what do you call that? Distraction. There's a word I'm looking for the role that the Nkuhumas played, some kind of distraction role, as they scared away or tried to chase away the males, and basically just put themselves as a barrier between the cubs and the mothers and then the rest of the action. The female lions are incredible creatures, the way that they dealt with that. I find myself with a whole new level of respect for them. Not that I'm surprised, just impressed. And our male lion is deciding he's sat around for long enough, perhaps he might come and have a sniff. It did look, I'm going to have to go and look through the footage again now that my heart rate has slowed down. It did look as though one male in particular was being targeted. But it was such chaos and dust flying everywhere that it might be easier upon a second viewing to figure out exactly what was going on. And I think now that the male has moved, we'll be able to reposition. Let's try and get a nice view of the cubs playing on the termite mound. Amazingly, I mean, these cubs are bomb-proof. Absolutely bomb-proof. They are totally relaxed again. They're playing, picking up dung, calling to their mothers. Relaxed again. All a day in the life for a lion. Meanwhile, the human beings are sitting there with hearts thumping. There's no male behind me, is there? No. Just a bush. Oh, and one large termite mound. There we go. Phew, what a morning. Oh, here comes another male. Which one are you now? I'm losing track. This is not the one that was with amber eyes, I don't think. This is the other one that was lying up. No, so it's not the one that was with amber eyes. Lovely question from Kale as we look at our beautiful blonde lion. Kale wants to know whether or not a lion's mane will start to change colour depending upon whether or not they are dominant in an area. That's a lovely question because darker manes are often indicative of higher levels of testosterone. Now, Kale, I'm aware of the fact that lion manes... Ooh. Oh. Hold on one moment, sorry, Kale. Just watch him look. That was such a disgruntled face. Somebody lost out on the action this morning. A puff of air steaming from his nostrils gives you an idea of just how cold it is this morning. Kale, I wouldn't be surprised if males' manes darken when they are more dominant in an area. I'm not aware of any scientific study that's been done, and the difficulty is, of course, is that different genetics of lions will have a different effect. So our lions here are totally different from those of East Africa or the Kalahari, the sort of the dark-maned lions, the famous dark-maned lions of the Kalahari. Our Birmingham boys have definitely been going darker, which could be a product of age, But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if, oops, somebody's got a bit of a limp. Although he has had this limp for a while. I wouldn't be at all surprised if testosterone didn't also play a role in the darkening of a mane with age. Battle worn. They are most definitely not. Look, he's got fresh scratches on his face. It's amazing they don't. I mean, when you think about the fury and the action that we just witnessed, all of them have come out relatively unscathed. And there's a lot of pulling of punches that goes on, even if we don't realize it. I was so scared that was going to happen to us this morning when the lion turned around and scraped his feet and then looked as though he was about to urine scent mark. I was convinced Liam at least was going to get a face full of lion urine. But somehow we managed to escape that eventuality. I'm not entirely sure how. Oh, wow. What a morning. We know that rationally this happens a lot with males fighting over females, but it's one thing to know it and it's another thing to see it in action. And the noise! But yes, they must have been pulling their punches through that whole experience. It's like when lions fight over food. It always looks so dramatic, yet at the same time. Sorry, mister, do you mind if I come through quickly? You look like you're okay with that idea. Yeah, good boy. Lying down. Aren't you? Oh, wow, look at his golden halo. Can't quite find a position to get it in. There. A halo of gold around our male lion. And just like that, peace is completely restored. One of the males is right next to the cubs, wandering about, trying to find a nice position to lie down. And poor Amber Eyes once again is separated from the rest of the pride without being able to get back to them. To you two. I think he's got a sore nose. Probably got a claw in his nose. Yay! See how Aubrey managed this, because he's definitely managed it somehow. I don't think any of us were expecting the morning to go this way, but it's been one of the most interesting lion sightings that we've had. Not that we've had boring lion sightings, but it has definitely been a very interesting one. Look at this gorgeous cub on the termite mound. Just for a moment, we'll stop and look at it. Peace is completely restored. And all of our beloved characters are alive and well. Some of the males are a bit scratched up, but nothing serious. Hello, little one. Now, speaking of lions' manes, and of course, witnessing a fight like that, you can see how useful having padding around the face and the head is to a male lion. You saw the way that they fought, with claws out, swatting at the face constantly, and the males rearing back to try and protect themselves. You can see how useful a mane really is for a male lion. And females don't do that all that often, but for a male it is very, very useful. Now, of course, our little cubs haven't quite got their full heads of mane yet. And bear with me one moment before I answer John's question. I'm pretty sure that in all of the drama, my microphone, which of course sits in my hat, has come loose somewhere along the line. It was a bit chaotic. Hello, little ones. So just bear with me for 1 second as I shuffle around. You're going to hear some funny sounds. Yep, no, that's definitely got tangled up somewhere along the line. Luckily we've got cubs to keep us entertained. There we go. No wonder it sounds muffled. It's all the way down close to the back of my neck. That'll do it. There we go. That should be better. Sorry, John. Yes, lions do get dreadlocks in their manes, is the short answer. There are a few. There was one of the Mapochos was called Rasta, because he always seemed to have dreadlocks, if I'm not mistaken. I never actually saw the Mpuchel males, but they do get dreadlocks. Our Birmingham boys always seem to look very well groomed, though. Look at me, I'm a big scary male lion. And speaking of our little cubs, imagine what they learned from today. Chris, our little lion cubs will actually start looking fluffier if they're boys in a couple of months' time. So at around 6 months you can start to see increased fluffiness around their heads. By 2 years old they have a spectacular mohawk that makes them look like gangly teenagers. And then by 3 the mane starts to fill out. It's only when they're about 5 or 6 that, depending on where you are, because obviously in hotter climates that mane is a serious disadvantage. So in hotter climates, even though it is a reproductive tool like horns on antelope, in certain places lions don't grow their manes as quickly as others. So the average for this area is 5 to 6 that it really starts to fill out and head down the shoulders and down the chest and into the armpits. But our little male cubs will start to show signs of fluffiness, which is utterly adorable, by the way. They look so cute when they are just a couple of months old. They're already starting to show signs, I think, if I look at some of them. And look at you. Oh, so gorgeous. And you know something terrible, during all of that, not that I would have had an opportunity, I had Brent's camera. He's going to lynch me when we get home for not taking any photographs, but there was no time. And our little chocolate box lion cubs, all safe and sound. There's Limpy lion cub, looking loads better. I'm so happy that little lion cub is doing okay. Resilient animals. And the lioness leading the cubs into some very dense vegetation. I'm going to make a decision here, probably not to try and follow them. We'll keep with them for now. They might not go too far. But those lionesses to me look as though they could do with a really good meal. Here comes last little cub. Quickly, little one, you're going to get left behind. Look at that, it's incredible. Here comes the last cub with the limp, and it's walking almost like nothing ever happened. Bit of a sway to the back legs, to the hips. I'm still convinced it had an injury to its hip rather than to its leg. Now it's just got a little bit of a swing to it. Amazing. It does, it's healed oddly to me. It still looks a little bit uneven. But this lion cub, from barely dragging its paw along the ground and barely putting any weight and looking distinctly subdued and miserable, to now walking, playing in just a matter of 2 weeks. And that could well have been a break. Andreen, you and me both. I would love to know what the cubs were thinking during all of that. Fear, I think, would have been high up on the agenda, because their instinct must be to get out of those situations, because in this case it was 3 Birmingham boys. But in other scenarios it might have been a strange male lion that had come in and was now attempting to attack the cubs. It wasn't in that case, but it could have been. And the cub's natural instinct must be to try and get away as quickly as possible. And I wonder if the female's fear doesn't spike in that way as well, because their instinct tells them that a male in that kind of mood is a threat no matter what the circumstances. Okay. I'm not going to try and follow them through here. I want to do that. Chris Rogue has put her finger on it. While our lions move off, Chris Rogue has said that she feels as though she's drunk 15 cups of coffee and go Nkuhuma girls, which is exactly what I was thinking the whole time. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. It's a very good description. 15 cups of coffee is exactly the way that I feel. I do need to chat to Taxon on the Game Drive comms, so let's jump on the back with HT for now, and I'll catch up with you shortly.
Well, what a picturesque scene. Tranquility at its finest in the African bush there. Elephants feeding in this beautiful morning light. It's just so beautiful to sit here with these creatures, and what an exciting morning it's been. Jamie has had amazing encounters down there with those lion, and very exciting to be around those beautiful, beautiful lions. We're just watching these, it's a small family or breeding herd here. There's 4 individuals with us at the moment, but there's another couple around. There was a youngster here earlier, really young one, under a year old, with his mum, but they seem to be just out of our vision at the moment. We'll definitely keep our eye out for them, and if we can find her, we'll go and see if we can see her. But these 4 have just been feeding away, consuming as all these different types of vegetation, roots, leaves, bark, tiny little shoots coming up out of the ground that they're favouring bark and roots at the moment, kicking over all different species. And some people may refer to what elephants do as damage. Elephant damage, they refer to it as sometimes, but I think my interpretation is that it's not really damage, it's impact. It only becomes damage when elephants don't have enough space. With vast tracts of land, elephants do have an impact on the environment, and they change habitats considerably. But when they do have the space, it can open up habitats for different other species to come in, grasslands, and start to occur. But when the concentration of elephants is quite high in a small area, the impact can be potentially detrimental. So it comes back down to habitat loss, doesn't it? And I think that's what's so important about these wild areas and Greater Kruger, everyone connected around this beautiful place. Hence why we have to make sure we protect these areas. So we had a question before from Magic, and I don't think I answered it properly for you, Magic. Thank you very much for your question and being on board this morning. It is probably my second last drive. I'm going to try and do another one this afternoon, and I was going to try and squeeze another one in tomorrow morning, but I do have to fly back over to Namibia tomorrow, and I don't think I'm going to get a chance, but we'll see how it goes. But it's been a fantastic time to come back and be with the team, and also to see these incredible animals. Well, this is a fantastic morning, and the lions keep moving in, moving out, doing all different types of things. There's lots of interactions, males coming in, the cubs. There was a bit of fighting earlier this morning, and that's what happens in a lion pride. It's quite tense at times and very peaceful at other times. But we're going to cross over now back to Jamie, because I think the lions have come back. We'll be with these elephants when you come back to us.
Look at this. The sheer courage of little Nkuhuma cubs. One's gone right up to one of the males to go and say hello and to go and explore. Look how brave you are. My goodness me. And it's the one with the limp. It walked straight up and bared its teeth at the male. What you doing? What you doing? Meanwhile, the poor male is trying to sniff the female to see if he's going to get lucky. There we go, that phlegm and grimace. In the meantime, cubs have got no idea what's going on, and this is just the best game ever. Aren't these line dynamics just amazing? This is what we've been looking forward to, is seeing this interaction. Dad? 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 Dad, pay attention to me, Dad. Oh. Ow. This is amazing in terms of the interaction. So he went to go and have a jolly good sniff of the female and decided that he wasn't going to find any fortune there in terms of mating prospects, and thus has gone off to lie with some of the other females that are in the shade. Oh, the cubs are finding other ways to occupy themselves, which includes showing off their very impressive tree climbing skills. Yes, you got that branch. Very well done. You caught that branch. Amazing. And poor Mom, much put upon, having to deal with a rambunctious family of 5. Now, not all of these are her cubs. I'm not sure which female this is, whether it's the older one or the younger one. Looks like the younger one, in which case she's the mother of the triplets. So gentle. Look, she's also injured. She didn't escape unscathed. She got a little bit of a nick around the side of her mouth. I got this branch and I'm not I'm letting go. And those snarling teeth that the female is showing the cubs, absolutely in no way a threat. She's just kind of exhausted, and can you blame her? And especially because these little guys have got some serious milk teeth on them, like little needles, and they don't hold back when it comes to suckling. What you found? What's over there? That's so exciting. I love that look of focus that the lion cubs get in their eyes when something's attracted their attention and they want to go investigate. It's a determination. Perhaps it's something they share in common with toddlers, I'm not sure. Spent much time around them, but I imagine it's something similar. You're welcome, Tax. I don't know what it was, and I don't want to reposition and startle them at all. I've been looking forward to moments like this. Just peaceful, not what we witnessed earlier, but the moments with the Nkuhumas and the Birmingham boys. Nkuhumas have been, I think, to me, just because in terms of time that I've spent with them, they've become my favorite lions. I don't know why. I think it really might just be the time that I've spent with them. You shouldn't have favorites, but I can't help but become slightly more attached to them because of the time that we've spent with them. Siberia Zumi, I honestly don't know when the Nkuhumas were first seen on Djuma. I'll find out from Taxon and Aubrey. Perhaps they know. They'll be able to give me an answer. And in the meantime, by the way, poor Amber Eyes has not managed to escape the attentions of the male and rejoin her pride. She's thoroughly stranded about 500 meters away. Oh, what's happening over there? Oh, family portraits in this glorious morning light. It's like the lions planned it. It's ridiculous. We should have known from the very first day when all 3 little triplets lined up and posed perfectly for us. Ah, Amber Eyes is calling. Somebody's had its nose in mud, or water, or something. Let's see if these lions respond. Oh, And wow, I didn't think about that because my grasp of time differences and time zones is a little bit silly. But for those of you who are in the more western parts of the world, it's a lovely reminder that's come through from Dina. Very, very valid point. It is still World Lion Day for those of you in the western half of the world. Lovely, lovely reminder. So, what a spectacular sighting to remind us just how incredible these cats truly are on a special day that's basically just there to remind us to remind us that we should be so invested in conserving them. And our lions have come out in full force to demonstrate just how special they are. Amber Eyes and the males calling behind us, softly. And the other females, are they thinking about going to join her? Trying to rescue her, perhaps? I doubt it. They're hungry. They've got empty bellies and cubs to feed. They don't have time to linger, driven by the need to go and hunt and eat something. And the little lion cubs are now setting up a cacophony of calls to call their mom back. All the lionesses are going in that perfect sighting for World Lion Day. Dina, thank you for that reminder. It doesn't get better than this. A family of lions doing what lions do best, giving us an insight into their loving behavior, their protective behavior, and their wild behavior. Watching to see where the females have gone. Amazing the instinct of the lion cubs. They know when to stay and when to follow. They still look so tiny and vulnerable. Yet when we compare them to a couple of months ago when we first saw them, I bet we'd get a fright actually as to how much they've grown. The lion cubs do grow incredibly quickly. In 6 months' time, these little cubs are going to be barely recognizable. Just trying to work out exactly what's going on here and where everybody's going. The female has disappeared now, and she's gone off to go and hunt. One male is lying down, the other male has gone off back towards where Amber Eyes and the other male are. And the female in front of us is growling at the male. No luck today, boy. Oh, some fresh injuries, a little bit of blood. I think that's the young lioness. So he might be in luck there. She's the only lioness left in this pride that doesn't have cubs or is pregnant, or as far as we know is pregnant. So he might have some luck with the young lioness. She's also played her role in protecting these cubs and playing with them and teaching them the skills they need. Amazing the social bonds between the lions. It's a good point from Liz, and I'm going to say no, but she's raised an interesting point, which was, do I think that the animals are crabby due to the weather conditions or the dryness? Not for the lions, no. So actually, the weather conditions for them recently have been utterly perfect. Hunting is easy, there's water places that they can go, there's plenty of water to drink, they're not reliant on vegetation to eat, so they don't have to worry about the lack of nutrients. And the wind's been howling, we've had a couple of dark nights, plenty of opportunities to hunt, although the females haven't been successful recently, quite possibly because it's a difficult stage with little cubs. I really honestly just think that was fighting over Amber Eyes, who was behaving in a flirtatious manner, probably to distract the males from the cubs. I think the males started fighting over her and the females stepped in to defend the rest of the group. That's what I think played out there, but I'd have to go back and rewatch and look at the footage. But what I'm really noticing in the more and more time we spend with the Nkuhumas and the cubs is just how essential the bonds are between pride mates. And they're the only social big cat, which is why World Lion Day provides us with an opportunity to examine just how fascinating they truly are. Little one, where are you going? Going to go and find the young lioness. Maybe she'll play with you a little bit. Oh, no, there's other lion cubs in there. That's where it was going. Sure. One thing we haven't seen in a while is the 3 youngest cubs. Remember when we started off over the last 2 months, we had 3 young lion cubs around Buffelshoek Dam. And we got to spend time with them when they were just a few months or a few days old. Now, Herbert found the den site once again towards Gowrie Cutline, but that was about 2 weeks ago, and since then we haven't seen any sign of them. I'm really hoping that over the next few days, the next few weeks, they'll be old enough to come out and start to supplement the Nkuhuma pride. And then we will have 8 cubs strong for both the sticks and the Nkuhumas. Yep, it's a young lioness. Let's think about repositioning. I'm trying to work out where we should go. Just make it. And there you go to Nemo. Yes, there are 8 little cubs. Before I reposition, let's finish answering Nemo's question. There are 8, as far as we know, there are 8 Nkuhuma cubs. The reason that we haven't seen 3 of them is because they're too small. They haven't been out yet. Oh. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, young lioness, male hoping he's going to get somewhere. Blocking her. Lying down with an exasperated sigh, as if to say, come on, dude. Just let me go past, please. I'm hungry. I want to go and find some food. Nope. Going to settle down here and guard his best prospects. So Nemo, 8 Nkuhumas, 8 sticks, but the Nkuhumas is not confirmed. Oh, and by the way, all 8 sticks cubs were back together once again yesterday. We just haven't seen the 3 youngest Nkuhumas with the rest of the pride before, because they are still too young, but they should be getting to the age now where we should be seeing them. Right, we're going to see and decide exactly what we're going to do in terms of which lions we're going to pick to go and look at. We're spoiled for choice this morning, but while we make our decision, let's head back across to Hayden.
What fantastic interaction those lions have had, and what a pleasure it's been to be there with Jamie. It's just one of those moments when you have those unforgettable encounters with lion prides. It's just great stuff. We're still sitting with this elephant. It's only a small group. It's only 4 individuals. There are others in the herd, but they're just not visual to us at the moment. And they're through a little bit of vegetation there. We're just sort of staying on the road and watching them, but it's just a good indicator of how long elephants will feed for, approximately 16 hours a day, and they have to consume vast amounts of vegetation to fuel those huge bodies that they have. I'll just move forward a bit. Just move forward for Brian here to get a nicer shot of this one feeding for him. There we go. Is that better, mate? Virginia from California has just asked a question: what's more difficult on the elephants in these hard times, lack of vegetation or lack of water? Well, Virginia, there's always vegetation around at some point here. It might not be the most favourable vegetation for them. But I tell you what we're watching this morning is these guys feasting on different species of plants and just working from one to the next. One time it'll be roots and shoots, and the next time it'll be bark and leaves, and lots of different types of parts of the plants that are being consumed. But I would say water is probably the most important thing. Elephants can wait for a few days. They need water. That's no doubt about it. But they like to drink every day. If they can drink twice a day, brilliant, if there's available water. But sometimes in parts of Africa where water is difficult to find and it's a long way away from food, they will walk to the food and feed for most of the day, and then even feed for 2 days or potentially 3 even without water if it comes to it. But it's more likely about 24 to 48 hours, and then they will move vast areas, or travel long distances I should say, to get to that water. Particularly happens with desert elephant more in Namibia and more arid places. But here they have a permanent water source. There's 2 permanent water sources on Nkuhuma and several others around excuse me, on the reserves surrounding here. And these elephants will know where they are, and it'll be the matriarch, it'll be the female, or normally the oldest, more experienced female that will make sure that happens on a daily basis. So the welfare of the herd definitely depends on that matriarch. Her leadership is absolutely the most important thing. I'm just going to try and move into a better position for Brian. Got a question from Moy Naden, wondering whether do elephants fight like lions do. I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't even see that. I'm going to move back for you. I'm going forward. Do elephants fight like lions do? Well, I wouldn't say they fight like lions do. They will have interactions. The females generally get on very, very, very nicely. It's when the boys come around that it gets all a bit tricky. Sounds like a species we all know and love, doesn't it? I just think I'm just going to go back a little bit further for you, mate. Try and get some of that vegetation out of the way. How's that? But they will have interactions, particularly the males. When the males are fighting for dominancy or over a breeding female, the boys will have tussles that sometimes they look incredibly and sound incredibly fierce, and sometimes they are incredibly fierce. You will have an elephant with a tusk that can definitely fatally wound another elephant. It does happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but they also will break their tusks in fights, particularly the males. But generally speaking, they're a very, very calm, organised. Wow, that's pretty cool. Look at that strength. Wanting to try and get down to some nice roots or some particular part of the tree that they want, and they will just work their way through like a buffet, really, picking and choosing what they want from the vegetation. So to answer your question, there is definitely conflict within elephants. They're a little bit intolerant when it comes to being at a water point with other animals. They like to drink alone. Birds won't necessarily worry them, but when there are other animals at water holes, they normally try to push them away, and the other animals understand that and they wait their turn. But generally speaking, it's quite peaceful in the herd. The matriarch keeps everyone calm, and if you do see the animals go into a defensive pattern, they will normally form a defensive ring around the youngsters and go completely silent. And then the female, the matriarch in charge, she will dictate what happens next. Thank you for your question, and thank you very much for watching with us. Magical has got another question about which elephants are affected mostly by the drought, the adults or the babies. Look, they will go to great lengths to look after their young. If it's a youngster that is still suckling, then they've got it pretty good in the sense that they'll be staying very, very close to the mother. When they're that young, they spend half their time, within probably about 5 yards within their mum, and they will go out and start to experiment. But occasionally closely related females, I think I've seen, will cross-suckle others' calves, and that depends obviously if the other females are lactating as well. But the bond between the mothers and the daughters lasts like for such a long time, up to 50 years. But I think that the babies will obviously suffer just because of the lack of water, the lack of their mother's vigor as well. If their mother is not in a healthy state, they will suffer. But normally they all keep up. It'll be a severe drought, Magic, for the elephants to suffer that badly. They'll always make a plan. They also can dig for water. They've got an incredible ability to smell water. So I would say that, yes, the little ones would suffer to a point, but they did go to great lengths to look after their whole family. So we're just going to sit with these elephants for a little bit because it's just such a beautiful place to sit. Brian and I are feeling a bit warmer as well, which is great. The sunshine is now beaming down on us, and it's just lovely to watch this behaviour with the elephants. They're so comfortable with us, and we did have a bit of a drive around and look for some other things. We might do that again and see if there's anything up on Impala Plains, but for now we're going to cross over to the wonderful James Hendry and see what he's up to on bushwalk. We'll see you right now.
There, everybody. I must apologise for our absence. Gendre broke the backpack, didn't you, Gendre? He's very silent. You can hear everybody. He's very contrite and sorry for himself. He broke the backpack. We don't know what he did. He says it was just some battery glitch or something. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He promised you he broke it. Anyway, what we're looking at here is, he didn't really, is a blue waxbill's nest in the branches or boughs of a flaky bark acacia. And this acacia tree has provided homes for many animals, provided nutrition for many animals, and indeed it has provided a rubbing post for a number of animals. And obviously the home there. Now, if you look at it, it's got a number of fairly large thorns, and here's one of them. This one has not been occupied, but here's one that has. I'll just pull it off without impaling myself on one of these rather impressive thorns. I mean, you wouldn't want to stand on that. It's the kind of thing that Gendre would stand on, and of course it would go through his boots into his foot, and then he'd require help getting to the doctor, as he did last time. It was very irritating, everyone. He couldn't drive a car. So I had to take him to the doctor while he sat there with this swollen, disgusting, pussy foot. Right, there... there is the spongy material that the slender ant will eat when they go in here. Now, there are no ants around. I think that's because we're in the middle of the winter. But you can see that there is this sort of swelling, and that swelling, it's obviously a hormone that inspires the growth of some sort of spongy stuff inside the thorns. And apparently it's very good to eat for a slender ant. I'm going to eat some now. Tastes like chocolate, Gendre. It doesn't really taste like chocolate. It does taste... I'll say there's a sort of taste of nutrition about it. Anyway, you're in for a treat, everybody. Connor Teagues is driving past us. That's only funny because Connor, if there's one thing in the world he hates, it's to be on camera. Right, so those are the two of the things that are in this tree. And I'm going to show you one more thorn, just to prove that something did actually live in it and eat it out. Gendre, I can't get it off. Gendre, you just put the camera here. Look over here. See there? Are you with me? you can see there that that spongy stuff's been eaten out by the slender ants. I think that's wonderful. Then if we look down here at the base of the tree, you can see that it's been subjected to a bit of abuse, this poor tree. It's been rubbed upon, I think probably by buffalo initially. You can see there's mud here. The impala don't move in the mud. They'll obviously go and drink, but they don't put mud all over their body. So I think that this was probably rubbed upon by a buffalo that came past here, decided he was probably a little bit itchy. And I don't know if you've seen what buffalo do, but it wouldn't have just walked past the thing. It probably did this. It probably pushed it over and then sort of walked over the top of it and lay on top of the tree. And they scratch their undercarriages like that. And then they leave the mud everywhere. But the tree's still alive. And apparently, if you've got sore eyes, what you do is you take pieces of these bark and then you can soak this bark in water. So you can see it there, this flaky bark. You can soak that in water, and apparently you can put a sort of diluted part of the decoction into your eye, and that will help it. I suspect water probably works just as well. Now, Tasha Michelle, I think that was your name, was that correct? Tasha Michelle? You want to know if anybody else will use this nest over here? Tasha, I don't think so, no. And I mean, I suppose the waxbills might come back during the next during the next mating season, which will be very soon. But no, I don't think anything else is going to use it. The birds are very specific about their nests. I'm trying to think of any that steal from others. Yeah, I mean, some of the hole nesting birds will go and steal from each other. So the barbets and the woodpeckers and probably the lilac-breasted rollers, they might steal nests from each other or use nests that were previously occupied by others. Parrots, the same thing. Not these ones. They tend to be very specific, the owners and builders of the tree nests. Right, Chandra? We can carry on. Hello, Dina. You want to know if those thorns would have been used? No, definitely not. They're not very strong. They're not very strong. We're going to stand still. Apparently, we're losing signal. They're not very strong thorns, so I don't think they'd be particularly effective weapons. I suppose at close quarters they might be, but no. Local people out here were Iron Age people. Well, there were Stone Age people. The San, the Bushmen that were in this area, they're Stone Age people, so they would have used flint and sort of hand axes made of stone, or axes attached to shaped stone put on the end of sticks, and they would have sharpened sticks for spears as well, and perhaps used sort of stone implements. Then when the Shangaan people came in here, and they're the indigenous people that live here now, they were Iron Age people, so they were already smelting iron ore, and they would have used iron, and yeah, it would have been largely iron for weapons and for tools. Okay, let's go across to Jamie. She's still with those amazing lions. We're going to try and find some better signal.
We're actually with a different group of lions. I had two missions for once we left the cubs. The cubs, by the way, went with their moms into some very, very thick bush where we couldn't follow them, into the river system that runs through that block. I decided I was going to come and find Amber Eyes first, see how she was doing, and then try and follow the other lioness. Sorry everybody, I'm having problems with my microphone. There we go, that should be better. That'll make life a bit easier. Sorry for the tapping. In all of the chaos, my microphone keeps pulling down my back and trying to escape into my ponytail, which is definitely not where we want it. So I've actually killed two birds with one stone here, accidentally, in that I found Amber Eyes and the other female that got up and moved. My suspicion was, after she got up and moved, I realized that she was probably the mother of the youngest set of cubs. Now, I can't see the faces clearly enough. I think that's Amber Eyes sleeping there, and I think that the other female was going to feed those cubs and got distracted by the presence of one of her pride mates. You see the separation here. The female's on the left and the male on the right. And after all of that, no luck for our male lions. It doesn't seem as though any of the females are all that interested in their prospects. And all is peaceful now. It's it's incredible after what we just witnessed. It just goes to show with the live safari is that you just never know what to expect. The animal's behavior can be so unpredictable. Okay, sorry, bear with me. I just need to speak to Mike on the Game Drive comms. Mike for Jamie. Oh, morning, Mike. Most of the Ngala have gone into the Skorva between Mvubu and Galago shortcut, but I've got 2 Mafazis, 1 Madora here just off Mvubu Road. It's just myself here. You're welcome to join. Copy, I'll let you know when I have your audio. Is that fly irritating you, mister? Oh, battle-scarred Birmingham boy. Obviously, you just heard me chatting to Mike on the Game Drive comms about the Ngala. And that, of course, is the way that we refer to lions. It's one of the local words. The Shangaan word, Ngala, is a combination. It's also something that's used in Zulu as well. And we use a bit of a hodgepodge of different languages on the Game Drive comms. But we very seldom, we sometimes use English, but a lot of the time we use the Shangaan terms. Michael wants to know, apart from Ngala, what are the other terms that we use for lions on the Game Drive comms? The only other term we will use is Ngala. Is lion. We'll say it in English. We don't use the Sotho term, which is Tau. T-A-U. Tau is another word for lions, but we are up in more of a Shangaan area, so we tend to say Ngala rather than... In fact, I don't know many game reserves that use the word Tau. There's lots of them called Tau, but not many will use the word Tau on their Game Drive comms or their Game Drive radio. And of course, the Game Drive radio is one of our most valuable tools out here, and it might interrupt our train of thought every now and again, but it is invaluable in terms of planning your drive, making sure that we get some amazing sightings, the guests get amazing sightings, and we basically share our expertise in terms of finding the different animals, making sure that we spread out and manage to find as much as possible. And Justin S. has brought back up a question that I answered from one of the kids earlier, which was a tricky one to answer, especially in the middle of what was occurring. But one of the kids that were watching from the school drive this morning wanted to know whether or not lions will ever eat each other if they are hungry. And Justin S. was wondering if they will ever participate in cannibalism. Yes, there are recorded cases. What often happens, probably the most common case or the common occurrence of lion cannibalism, is when a male lion has killed another lion during a territorial takeover. So you see it often with males. They will kill their rival and then they will nibble a little bit around. They generally don't tuck in properly. It's up to the hyenas to finish off a lion carcass. And if they happen to stumble upon a dead lion, they might chew on it a little bit, but generally they tend to avoid that level of cannibalism. There are recorded cases as well of lionesses eating their cubs in desperate times, which sounds to us absolutely terrifying. But if you think about it in terms of nature, the cubs are not going to survive anyway if the mother's in that terrible condition. And her instinct tells her that she must do whatever she needs to in order to survive, which might include eating the cubs so that she remains alive and can produce the next set of cubs. But those circumstances are incredibly unusual. Male lions also sometimes eat the cubs that they have killed during a pride takeover. Most of the time, though, they kind of chew on them a bit. Sorry, this is very macabre conversation. They kind of chew on them for a little bit and then leave them to the hyenas to go and collect. And now that everything has relaxed with our magnificent lions, let's go over to Hayden and his true kings of the bush.
Well, that's absolutely right, Jamie. The true kings of the bush, this beautiful breeding herd. We actually were only with 4 of the individuals, and we went and had a little drive to see where the rest of them were, and we came around the corner and we found another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 individuals. Beautiful maternal care going on here, and particularly this big female in your view at the moment has just moved on to another bit of her African bush buffet that she's having this morning, and right in front of us is some beautiful interaction happening with a little calf. Really tender moments that you see in elephant herds, and that's one of the most beautiful things that the mother and offspring have with each other. You'll have frequent touching, you know, with the trunk and the feet with each other. And this is potentially a relative. But there's lovely tender care between the elephants, particularly the mother and calf. Mother's just behind her, you can just see her trunk there. And you'll just start to see some interaction. So the baby, when the baby is born, you know, they're looking at a pretty decent sized calf. We're looking at something around the size of about 120 kilograms, which is about 260 pounds roughly. That is a big baby. And the mother is always with that baby, helping it to its feet, using the mother's foot and trunk if it falls over, and just they just use that trunk like a helping hand with their babies. It's beautiful. If it's really beating heat, I've also seen the mothers push the real youngsters underneath them to get them out of the sun. But this little baby might come and investigate us a little bit more. We'll just see. I've got a question from Natasha in Ontario. Fantastic to have you with us. You want to know what is the heaviest tree that an elephant can push over? Well, I don't think I could answer that accurately, Natasha, in the sense of how heavy the tree is, but I've seen them push over some incredibly big trees that you just don't think are possible. But it's the big bulls that do knock over those trees, and they use their head and their trunk, and they're sort of just where their trunk leaves their head in the length of it, and they push, and they'll use their body weight, they'll lean against it. But we might be able to find one either this morning. I'm not sure if we'll get it in this morning, Natasha, but if you're watching and you do have the opportunity to stay with us for the afternoon drive, I'll try and see if we can find a big tree that they have pushed over to show you, because it's easier to show you a visual of that. Immense strength. You are looking at a big male that's about, again, my conversions from kilos to pounds aren't fantastic, so I'm going to have a go for you. But look, it's about 6,000 kilograms is a really super big bull, but they've even gotten bigger, and that's going to be looking up around well plus 13,000 pounds in a big bull. So it is an immense creature. We've got a little bit of a tussle going on over here, Brian. two individuals just down here, mate. They're just, I don't know whether they're having a bit of a disagreement about food. They're about the same age, but they had a little, look at that strength there in that female. Wow. So she's just ripped up that acacia and just, she just wants to get the roots at the moment she's interested in. And using those two fingers on like the two fingers on the prehensile trunk, little finger-like tips on that end of that trunk, and she delicately places those in her mouth. And she's got a really young calf just coming up behind. He might give us a little show of himself just now. He's just see his feet under there. Here he comes. He's very beautiful. And this is the one I was looking for before. We found this little calf this morning, and he came up and had a little bit of an investigation. He's still even getting to know what his trunk's used for. When they're born, it's just really wonderful to watch. Just a little vocalization there. Got a little comment from Amy. Welcome aboard, Amy. Great to have you with us. You saying you love how little elephants, baby elephants, flop their trunks around. I do as well. It's very funny. They don't really know what it's for. Look at this little one here. I think there's even a younger one somewhere, so I don't think that's the one I was thinking about. There's a little bit of wrestling going on here. And that could be a brother or a relative. Fantastic to see, isn't it? If it does get out of hand, so that could... Interesting, isn't it? Interesting, so that could be actually the baby's brother or sister. I think it could be a sister, and then, you know, don't mess with my little sibling. Who knows? But these two were having a little bit of a tussle before anyway. Just lovely interaction. But Natasha, you're right. When they're born, that little trunk, they don't really get what that's for. And they spin it around and flop it around and tread on it and all sorts of things. But then they do figure out it's one of the most important parts of their bodies. It's going to be used to feed, to communicate, to drink. They don't actually drink through their trunk, and I'm sure everyone knows that. They draw water up in their trunk and then push it into their mouth. Hello, my boy. You coming to say hello? You coming to say hello? We're just here to observe. We've got a question from MC Chef. Are elephants really scared of mice? No, I don't think so, MC. I think there's hello. There's a couple of little vocalizations going on here. I'm not really sure where that came from. I've worked with elephants in certain zoos, and you know, there might be the odd little mousie that gets in there to try and get a little bit of food, which happens in all animal related areas, and I've never actually seen an elephant get afraid from a mouse. So you know that they do find some things a little bit odd. They definitely don't like the sound of bees. I've seen that happen before. Accidentally disturb a beehive in a tree, and that really did make the elephants, particularly the matriarch, gave the call, and they skedaddled. They got out of there as quickly as they could. And I don't know whether it was the sound or what it was, but I think there's even some trials of the sound of bees being used to try and deter elephants from from certain areas. But thanks for your question, and such a beautiful sound. Great to have you on board this morning with us. Really using that foot and that trunk to dig up the roots. And each individual will have a different preference. Some will be eating bark, leaves, roots, shoots. Hello, my girl. Hello, my girl. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, darling. This little one down here is very, very cool. So you can hear them munching away, crunching, munching away down there, and they're grinding up this vegetation in a pretty incredible set of teeth. Ah yes, the baby elephant walk, there's nothing like it. Where's Mum gone? Whoa, where's Mum gone? Ah, there she is. Relax. So I'm just going to stay where we are on this location. I don't want to move down any closer because we've got probably 10 of the animals up on the left, and we've got about 2 or 3 down the other side, and us driving in between the herd is not an advisable thing, and it's not a respectful thing either. So we'll just sit and be and see what they do, but that was a beautiful encounter with those animals, and I'll talk to you more about the teeth when we come back. But for the minute, let's cross over to Jamie and see what she's up to with the lions.
And so we're going to enjoy our last few moments with these lions before it's time to leave the sighting and head out to see what else we can find for the last half an hour of the sunrise safari. All seems quiet now, and they have not moved one... Okay, that's not true. They might have moved 1 or 2 muscles, twitching an ear every now and again, maybe flicking a tail when they got them to be their most active. But for now, a lot of energy expended, and it's time to rest and recuperate. And Christy, I know that Cheetah Plains did publish an amazing blog which goes into the background of the Nkuhuma Pride in a little bit more depth in terms of the relationship of the Nkuhumas and also their history. I'm going to try and catch Andrew and Ephraim at some point and have a long chat about the story behind the Nkuhumas, because they've been here for many generations and they have fascinating stories. But as far as I can tell, Amber Eyes is one of the eldest females. However, she is not the oldest. The oldest female is the mother with cubs, and in fact, the one that may have moved off into the drainage line with the middle set of cubs. Sorry, I really hope you're keeping track of this and jotting it all down on a piece of pen and paper. From what I understand, that female is either the mother of all 4 of the rest of the lionesses, but with Amber Eyes being the eldest and the rest of them being her younger sisters from a different litter, or she is the mother of some of the females and the rest of them are nieces. They will all be related to each other, but Amber Eyes is not the mother of the pride. She's not the oldest member of the pride as far as I can tell. That's just by judging and looking at the condition of their teeth and so on. However, she is older than the other 3. And what makes her so unique, of course, is the characteristic that gives her her name, which is those bright orange eyes of hers. And she does really seem to play, all lionesses play a critical role, but it seems to me that whenever there's action happening, Amber Eyes is in the forefront. Whether it's a buffalo hunt or a situation like the one that we witnessed this morning, she's always there. Somehow, there is definite characteristics to different individual animals. Leopards are the same. Some individuals have got more character than others and aggression. It was the same with the Birmingham boys. I always felt that the youngest member of the group, that they called Scrapper or Tokolosh, he has since been killed due to natural causes. But I always felt that Scrapper, to me, had displayed a huge amount of character. He was the youngest, he was the smallest, and yet, or one of the smallest, and at the same time, he was also he was always in the front, again, like Amber Eyes, in the front of all of the action, storming buffalo kills, one of the first to lead the assaults against the Matimbas, at least the audio assaults, when the Birmingham boys moved in and roared. As far as we knew, the Birmingham boys and the Matimbas never came to blows, but that could be, we only spend a certain percentage of these cats' lives with them, so we don't know exactly what went on behind the scenes. For now, though, all is peaceful, and the Birmingham boys have done their amazing job of producing cubs and looking after them in terms of protecting the territory. They've now fathered 8 Styx cubs, 8 Nkuhuma cubs, and are doing a good job of protecting this territorial region. So they've done what male lions should do. We have a question, which is, of course, we've spent the majority of our morning with elephants or lions, and the question is whether or not lions are afraid of elephants. And the answer is yes, they are. Sort of. It's not really fear. They're wary of elephants, and elephants often chase them. But the lions are quite lackadaisical about their approach because they know that they're faster and more agile. So they'll let an elephant walk right up close to them if the elephant doesn't see them. But if the elephant comes running at them, then they'll get up and they'll run 50 meters away and then lie down again. So it's not terror that they have in terms when faced with the threat of an elephant. It's more just kind of, okay, well, you're much bigger than me and I know you don't like me, so I'm just going to move away. And speaking of moving away, we're going to leave our sleepy lions and head out and see what else we can find. But for now, I'm going to send you back onto the back of Wendy with HT and Brian.
Welcome back to our elephant herd and elephant breakfast here in Nkuhuma Private Game Reserve in Sabi Sands. Just going to ask Brian just to pan around. Mate, I do apologise. We've got this beautiful big female just walking up to the right of us, and she's the last individual. She's a big girl, and she's got a youngster behind her. I thought she was going to walk across the road in front of us, but she stopped to have a little browse there. And we did touch on just before we went over to Jamie to get that last line update on teeth, which are really interesting, and many of you probably know this information. That's her calf just behind there. But the elephants get 6 sets of cheek teeth in their lifetime. They get 2 upper and 2 lower, and they increase in size, and when they actually move into place as the animal outgrows and wears out the previous ones. Hello, my girl. Isn't she beautiful? So relaxed. Beautiful animal. And here comes her little one. Right behind her. So those those teeth, you will sometimes see, I was watching them earlier this morning and they were pulling up roots and they were shaking the sand off them. No one likes sand in their mouth, do they? Hello, little one. And then on that little one there, you can just see as he's opening his mouth there, those modified, fantastic incisors that are continuously growing. That's what we call the tusks. And they'll continuously grow, and there's some animals that have got massive tusks and others that don't. There's some even tuskless females. It's just a genetic thing that occurs, but they're constantly growing. They use those tusks for so many different things, protecting themselves, fighting, stripping off bark, digging, loads and loads of different things. And they're a tool for the animal. Sometimes they can break them, as I said before, in a violent interaction between another one, or when they're trying to really push over a tree, they can snap a bit off. But you know what, most elephants, no matter how abnormal or perfect their tusks are, they will use them and modify that to whatever the tusk shape or size is. It's a bit like us with our hands. I'm going to just move up a little bit closer now. Then I can see all the individuals have gone across the road. And there's a nice female feeding just up here. It's such a beautiful herd. Hello. I do often talk out loud when I'm approaching elephants, and it might be, some people might find it a bit weird, but I used to work with this guy in the zoo in Australia years ago, and I started working with elephants with him. His name was Joe Haddock, and he's a legend. Such a great guy, and I always used to hear him walk up to the ellies or even rhinos or giraffe, and he'd always just go, easy, easy, just to let him know they were there, he was there. That's just something I've always done. It's just sometimes, who knows, we will never know whether it is a thing that they hear your voice or not, but they're very, very relaxed with us in these vehicles. They're habituated to the vehicles. That individual that just made that little interaction occur there is definitely the matriarch. Female, the biggest one you can see. I think there was a couple of the youngsters that were taking the particular vegetation that she wanted to eat. She's beautiful. And you might think an elephant's skin is, you can just looking at them right at this one in front of us, and how wonderful that wrinkly skin is. It's actually naked skin in the sense that it's got small sensory hairs in different places, and bristles on the tail, and eyelashes. But hear that? Did you hear that at home? I hope you did. There was a really beautiful sort of subsonic rumble that occurred then. Communication between the animals at frequencies so low that we can't hear. Yet they're not in our audible range. But what you can do is record elephants and then speed up the recording, and you can hear some of the frequency. Sometimes you can put it into a bit of technology that will mix it with another frequency and then make it an audible sound for us. And those studies have been going on for 30 years. Just got a message from Tony in London. Great to have you with us, Tony, and my old, or my second home, third home maybe, I don't know where's my home now. I'm back in Sydney, and love Africa, and was living in London for 16 years there. So Tony, great to have you with us in old London town. And you want to know what my, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and enjoying your time. But that's definitely the matriarch. She just gave that youngster a bit of a kick out of the way. Tony, your question is, what's my most hair-raising moment? I think my most hair-raising moment, this is probably going to shock you, was like we've had some interaction with animals. Obviously you don't try and get yourself into situations ever with an animal that disturbs it or puts you in danger, but you are obviously taking calculated risks when you come up to different animals. But hopefully we do it respectfully and ethically, and we're morally sound in that. But I'm going to say to you, one of my most hair-raising moments was when I accidentally, I fell asleep in, this might sound a bit strange, but I fell asleep in my tent with my feet sticking out my tent in Mozambique, and woke up in the morning and I'd been eaten alive by mosquitoes. And it was a very, very silly thing to do, and I didn't know whether I had malaria or not, and I had to wait for the signs and the symptoms. And even though we think, you know, big animals and all the dangerous animals are the threat, sometimes the smallest thing can be the most worrying and hair-raising. Anyway, the sadness is I did get malaria, but that was my own fault, and the key to malaria is don't get bitten. But that was a hair-raising moment for me, that is for sure. I did have one time where I walked some people back to their tent in Uganda on safari once, and I walked them back to their tent, and as I was walking back to my tent, unfortunately there was a lioness on the pathway, and she was lying down, and I had to go into a person's tent that I didn't actually know and knock on their sort of tent door and say, "Excuse me, can I come in to your tent?" And that was a bit of an odd thing to ask a couple that you didn't know on safari, but I had to just go in their tent for a few minutes while this lioness departed. So yeah, there's always moments, there's always stories, and most of the time you've got yourself into them, Tony, and we always try and make sure that we do the right thing. We keep our best practices really important when you're watching wildlife. Well, I'm just remembering Brent Leo Smith's favourite quote from Malaria from Final Control, and thank you, it's a good reminder. It only gets serious if you don't take it serious, and that is very, very true. Malaria is a very, very serious problem throughout the world, and you do take it seriously, that's for sure. Mine was unfortunately due to my wasn't not taking it seriously, but I was just so tired and I fell asleep, and it was a big mistake. But I tell you what, I've never done it again. But yeah, absolutely 100%, you have to make sure you take those sorts of things very seriously. They're feasting at the moment. Well, Brian Thompson, you have a very, very interesting question, sir. We were talking about this yesterday. Would the bat detector record the elephant sounds? I don't think so, because the sounds, the audible sounds that we can hear, roughly, and Brian, I'm no expert on sound recording and frequencies from different animals, other than a few different bats that I sort of follow and like, and there's lots of different bat species in the world that use echolocation at all different frequencies, some as low as 10, others as high as 120. And we were talking about this the other night. We had the bat detector out, and there just happened to be an elephant herd very, very close to us. We were picking up this very weird sort of signal on it, and we don't know what it was. I don't think my bat detector goes low enough to pick up the frequency, but do you know what? We might try it this afternoon, or we might try it later if we come across. I don't really want to do any experiments right now, particularly, Brian, as you can imagine. This herd it probably wouldn't, I highly doubt that it would affect the elephants, but under no circumstances would I want to disturb this beautiful breeding herd with a noise that they've never heard before. So, but you know, from afar, we could just do a little test and see if I could turn the volume right down in the vehicle for myself and just test if we can pick something up. But it was a weird sound, Brian, I have to say. But we'll bring that little bat detector out later this afternoon again and see what we can hear. anyone that hasn't seen it, we're just trying to pick up a little audible sound from the echolocation of different bat species. Bless you, Brian. But thanks for your question, Brian. It was definitely a topic of conversation. We've got a question from Matthew, and Matthew is asking how many generations is it possible at one time for a herd to contain. I'm just trying to do the maths for you, Matthew. Okay, so if an elephant starts to breed around 10, 11 years of age, and gestation is roughly 22 months, and then you've got a interval between calves between 4 and 9 years, goodness me, 4 and 10 years sort of thing, and that's a bit of a variable there. I would probably guess that you would maybe get 3 generations in the one herd, because elephants cease breeding sort of production at about 45 roughly. So you might get a matriarch that lives later than that. She might not be breeding, but you might have offspring from her. Maybe 3 generations, I'd say, Brian, would be average or potential, maybe at a pinch 4. But I don't think it'd be any more than that. Just going on that sort of information, that is, breeding starts at about 10, gestation another 2 years on top of that, which gives you 12, 13, and then you've got about anywhere between 5 and 9 years, 4 to 5, 9 years. Yeah, that's what I'd probably say, Brian. About 3, maximum 4 generations within the herd at any given time, with that original female matriarch getting, if she pushes 60 or hits 60, 50 to 60. Great question, mate. Thank you very, very much. I'm just going to try and change position for Brian to give him another angle, because we have been on this female for some time. It's a little bit tricky to try and get some pictures of that little baby just there, the little calf. That's pretty cool. Tender loving care from the mother and the family over these youngsters. Little leg propped up there, leaning on one of his siblings potentially. Just going to have a look through binoculars. I think this is a tuskless female, this one here. It is, So there you go. It does happen within the herd. She hasn't got any tusks, that female. So folks, with just a short amount of time to go on our morning drive, I don't know, Brian and I just had a chat about it before and said, should we just sit with these guys and be? And it's just such a beautiful thing. I know you've seen a lot of elephants, but it is such a peaceful way to have a morning drive. And we did have a look around, and there wasn't a lot around, and rather than driving just around the reserve, I thought it's better to have a very beautiful encounter for some time with this elephant herd, and Brian agreed. And we're also nice and warm in the sun here, so please don't take that as a selfish thing. We're going to cross over to Jamie and get a bit of an update from her, and we're just going to stick with these beautiful animals, and we'll come back to you just now.
I definitely think that having those peaceful elephants is a nice contrast to our dramatic morning. And it seems as though the sounds of that lion fight have scared practically everything away from this area. Just go over this bump a bit carefully. It is all quiet around this particular spot close to the Boyatella Dam and Galago Pan. And I suppose you can hardly blame them. I mean, the sound effects coming from that fight, it is incredible. It's visceral. Those sounds are visceral, or affect us in a visceral manner, perhaps is a better way of describing it. Definitely one of my most incredible lion sightings since I started working here at WildEarth. Well, I've decided, since we've done a full circuit, we've left our lions lying up in the shade, while we wait for them to decide whether or not they're going to... Oh, sorry, Bim. That missed the top of your head perfectly. The branch just skimmed over the top of the camera and Bim. We're going to go and check Galago Pan for two reasons. One is that the lions might have decided, after all of that drama, that perhaps they would like a drink. It's the closest permanent water source to that area. And then, on the other hand, I want to see what's around that area, because those lionesses definitely look as though they could use a seriously good meal. I want to see perhaps if there's some buffalo around there or something similar, because now that they've got the males with them, they could certainly do with an extra set of paws or two, to help them hunt down a meal. The difficulty with that, of course, is that with the extra strength of a male lion, that helps, especially when they're hunting something like a buffalo. But then, of course, there's the other side of the coin, which is if they do manage to make a kill, the males are going to eat their fill first before they allow the females to feed. Now, I want to just see what's happening here to line us up for this afternoon's sunset safari. I mean, it's been an incredible morning as it is, but the day is not yet over, and there might be more incredible things on the way. And it's quite a cool morning, as Hayden indicated. Nice to sit in the sun and just warm up. But that does also mean that the lions are going to continue to be active a bit longer than they might otherwise. Alright, so the lions were heading in this direction. My instinct is they've gone to sleep in the shade. And while we're just chatting and looking for something in general, Lauren, a lovely question. She wants to know what our favorite animal in Africa is, and when I decided when I wanted to become a safari guide. Lauren, my favorite animal is a difficult one. It depends upon my mood. I think I love spending time with elephants the most. That doesn't make them my favorite animal, but they are one of my favorite animals to sit with and to watch. They're just always so thoroughly entertaining. I really, really also love rhino. They were my favorite animal when I was a child. So spending time with a rhino is also very special. Of course, it's not something that we can do at the moment, since we do not show rhinoceros on our live safaris. Just as a statement against the poaching that is occurring throughout Africa. I also really enjoy spending time with spotted hyena. I find their dynamics fascinating, but I can't really choose. And then in terms of when I wanted to become a safari guide, apparently when I was 2 years old, I sat up in bed to my mom, and I don't remember this, and said, I'm going to be a vet. And I wanted to be a vet for a very long time, but I went to a place called the Rhino Park, a rhino camp in Lapalale, and they let me walk with the rhino when I was 8 years old, and I thought, well, if I don't become a vet, this is what I want to do. Now, unfortunately, as a child, despite my absolute love of animals and my desire to pick every single animal up and cuddle it, I am incredibly, incredibly allergic to them. And as a result, I decided when I was 18 that going to veterinary school was going to be incredibly difficult for me because of the allergies that I had. And I mean, they're bad. It's not like the odd sniffle and sneeze. if I'm exposed to lots of different types of animals, then my eyes close up, I can't breathe, I can't see, I sneeze, I can't look into the sun. It's all very sad, very, very disappointing. However, I do have the best job in the world, and in a way, things work out the way that they do for a reason, and I get to be in. I always knew I wanted to live in the bush. I wanted to be a wildlife vet, but I'm a guide, and I absolutely love it. And I wake up every morning feeling thankful for the opportunities that each day brings. There are not many people, I know how lucky we are, because I know that there are not many people who get to follow their passion in life, and I'm glad and very grateful that I've had the opportunities to allow me to. Well, it's safe to say that Galago Pan is very, very quiet. Perhaps all the buffalo heard the sound of the lions fighting and decided that perhaps today was not the day to come to Galago Pan for a drink. And just by the way, my allergies have never stopped me having pets. Pinchy Winer's hat, I couldn't agree more. This morning has been a morning of contrasts. From the chaos and the explosion of noise and activity that was that lion fight, to the peace and tranquility of elephants, it just goes to show the multifaceted sides of the bush that make us love each and every single moment spent out here. It has been, oh hello Impala. It has been a truly phenomenal morning, and I'm glad that we got to share it with you all. It is in fact time for us to say our goodbyes, unfortunately. So a big thank you to Viam, who I think you'll all agree did a fantastic job in the most incredible sighting that we've had in a long time, as well as to the lovely ladies in final control, to Rebecca and Kirsty. Very well done. And then most importantly, a huge thank you for all of you joining us as you do, the incredible loyalty that you show us, and of course sharing in our love for this amazing space. We will see you again on the Sunset Safari, but for now I must say farewell and head across to a filling up breakfast and then perhaps some activities to keep us occupied this afternoon. I believe we've got some plans that might involve a reference to the Olympics, but I'm not going to say any more about that. Bye-bye, everybody. I'll see you in a few hours.
Well, what a wonderful morning with Jamie Patterson and James. It's just been a really beautiful... I think Jamie sort of encapsulated that perfectly, the frantic sort of behaviour of the lion and all that interaction to the tranquility of the elephants. It's been a beautiful elephant morning. We've definitely had some interaction from lions that was so exciting, particularly for our schools that were tuning in from Australia this morning on that special schools broadcast. But now with this herd that's just gently feeding their way, probably heading down to Galago Pan for water. We are not sure, but they've definitely been going very, very slowly, having the bush vegetation, bush food buffet this morning of everything from leaves to roots to bark to grass, and we've been with them all the way. It's been a really beautiful, beautiful morning, and they're still cruising along, and being in the presence, I think Jamie was just mentioning her favourite animals, and elephants are definitely a common one for many of us. It's just being in the presence of them is so beautiful. We're really looking forward to you joining us this afternoon if you can, from anywhere in the world. I know it's tricky for some people, and I do thank anyone from my team in Australia that's been watching until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Particularly, I missed a question from Nicole Whitfield last night, and if she's listening, Nick's big hi to you and all the other people at Taronga Zoo and Taronga Western Plains Zoo in Australia that are listening. Wonderful to have you on board, and everyone else in the world. There's people from everywhere: London, the United States, Europe, Asia. Well, tomorrow, folks, is a very special day. We had International Lion Day yesterday, and tomorrow is International Elephant Day. And how exciting is that? What a fitting time to finish on elephants, and maybe we'll get some more this afternoon. It's been wonderful to be with you today. I will probably make this afternoon my last drive. And you know what? It's just a pleasure to be back with this incredible team of people. I come in and they let me get into the saddle and have a bit of a drive around. And I tell you what, it's a great privilege to do, and I can't thank everyone enough for allowing me to do that. Tomorrow, World Elephant Day. It's not just the African elephants that we love and cherish, but it's the Asiatic elephants as well. Very, very important to remember. 2 different species on the planet, and also some forest elephants that occur in different regions, but all together, International Elephant Day tomorrow. So what a celebration. I'm going to say farewell until this afternoon. I'm going to say farewell from Brian, myself, and someone very special at the bottom of the screen there. I'm going to leave you with some beautiful pictures of these elephants. We'll see you this afternoon.